Hello everyone, thank you for joining today's session on risk assessment. In this presentation, we will explore how to effectively assess risks using internationally recognized framework like ISO 27001 and ISO 31000. Why this is important is because these are the two globally accepted standard which most of the company uses or try to get certified against, right? And risk register, we will talk about mainly that how to create it, what are the main components, and that is the main tool for identifying, assessing and tracking potential risks in the project or in your organization. So understanding the risk register, calculation methods and mitigation strategies for effective risk management is going to be the key goal of this session. Now let's understand risk assessment. So risk assessment is a systematic approach to identify, analyze and evaluate risks that may affect an organization. It's a crucial part of ensuring business continuity and compliance with frameworks like ISO 27001. By assessing risks, we protect critical assets, build resilience, and make informed decisions. Today, we will break down the entire process into simple and actionable approach. Now, let's look at two key standards. Okay, ISO 27001 focuses on managing information security risks, things like safeguarding data confidentiality, integrity, and availability. On the other hand, ISO 31000 provides a more generic framework for managing all types of risks. Together, these standards give us a solid foundation for building a robust risk management system. Now, risk management involves four key steps. The first one is risk identification, which recognizes potential risks. Now, this is in the bottom of the pyramid. So, we are counting bottom up. We are counting as bottom up approach. So, don't get confused by 1, 2, 3, 4 in the pyramid. We are counting it from bottom to top. So let's talk about risk identification first. As I said, this is used for recognizing potential threats. Now, risk analysis, which is used for determining the likelihood and impact of the risk, which is identified. Now, risk evaluation, based on the likelihood and impact, the risk evaluation is done. And then risk treatment, deciding how to address those identified risks. Think of this as a continuous loop where the process evolves as a new risk. So this will start from here, and then again you will start back from risk identification. So it's a continuous loop, right? So it doesn't end because risks are always evolving. It's not a one-time exercise. Now, a risk register is the cornerstone of any risk management. It's like a logbook where every identified risk is documented. It includes key details like risk description, likelihood, impact, overall risk level, mitigation strategy, and who is responsible for the risk. This makes it easier to prioritize and act. We will soon see a live example of this. Now let's talk about the risk calculation process. We will use a simple formula to identify it, which is risk is equal to likelihood and impact, which you see here. So risk is equal to likelihood and impact. This is your risk general formula, right? Now both likelihood and impact are scored usually on a scale of 1 to 5. For example, if the likelihood of an unauthorized data access is 4 and the impact is 5, so the risk score will become 20. So 4 into 5 and the risk score becomes 20. Okay. So which is considered a high risk. This helps us focus on what's need immediate attention. Here is a real-time example of a risk register. Notice how each risk is documented with details like likelihood, impact, and the overall risk level. For instance, this risk, unauthorized data access, is rated high. Okay, so we have suggested mitigations like implementing multi-factor authentication, encryption, and audits. This structured approach ensures nothing slips through the cracks. So this is a good example of a risk register, that what all component it has. And what you can do is you can take a snapshot of this in case you find it right to incorporate as per your organizational need. Another risk example I have given here is a downtime due to server failure, that a server can fail. Likelihood of server failure I have given 3, that yeah, it is possible. Of course, if it is realized, the impact will be 4. The highest impact goes to 5, but 4 is a bit minimum depending on what kind of server. So the risk calculation comes to 12, which is medium. And what is the mitigation is suggested? That regular maintenance and backup need to be taken in the case of server downtime, so that these backups can be used. And who is the owner? This can be done by a system administrator. So the owner is also a system admin. Okay, I hope this example works for you to understand. Now, once we have identified and analyzed risks, the next step is to decide how to handle them. Now, there are 4 main strategies to manage any risk. First is, the risk can be avoided. How to do this? Eliminate the risk by stopping the activity entirely. So let's say there is a server on which there is a risk of unauthorized data access. You will switch off the server itself, right? So those kind of situation, if possible, can be done. Next is reduce the risk. So implement control to minimize the risk. We'll take the same example, that there is an unauthorized access risk on the server. We can implement controls like a good access control, like a multi-factor authentication. We can build firewalls around it, keep it in a secure zone. There are many controls you can implement to reduce the risk, so that the likelihood of happening the risk never happens. The next is transfer. This is like sharing the risk, for example, through insurance. So sometimes one of the common risk in any company is a fire hazard. So what happens in the case of fire? There is a property loss and all. So when you take things like insurance, you share or transfer the risk with the insurance company. So the impact of the risk on you becomes less. The next one is accept. Now, risk acceptance is a very peculiar situation, and in most of the manufacturing company we will see this. The reason is many of the manufacturing companies still runs on legacy system. Ideally, you cannot apply any controls like patching or etc. on those systems, because those are really old systems. But you still need to run those systems because your entire factory productivity depends on those servers, and those are irreplaceable machines. Those are not like the general computers or laptops. So in those cases, when you find that okay, risk mitigation will take the complete overhaul of factory to be changed, the complete infrastructure, but even if the risk is realized, the loss will happen, but it is not equal to the amount of investment that you need to make to cover up the risk mitigation. So in those cases, when the cost of risk mitigation is higher than the impact of the risk itself, generally company says okay, let's accept the risk, because the remediation is more costlier than the impact. Now, risk assessment doesn't operate in isolation. ISO 27001 specifically emphasizes addressing information security risks, while ISO 31000 provides a general framework. Together, these standards help integrate risk management into all organizational processes, ensuring a holistic approach. Now, a well-executed risk management system offers several benefits, like better decision making, reduces uncertainties, regulatory compliances, and most importantly, the protection of assets and company's reputation. It's a small investment of effort that yields massive returns in the long run. So, in case your organization has not got the risk assessment done, it's always wise to get it done. Not for the certification, but for your own protection and safety and sustainability of the organization. Now let's make this a bit interactive video. Imagine that your organization is adopting IoT devices for operation. What risk might arise? I would like you to brainstorm potential risks, analyze them, and propose mitigation strategies. You can DM me, or you can simply post your views and this brainstorming activities in the comment box. Work in groups and we will discuss your findings shortly. And this exercise is more of a self-doing exercise which you all who are listening can do on your own. This will help you to solidify your understanding of risk assessment. Now, in conclusion, risk assessment is not just a compliance activity, it's a critical process for safeguarding your organization. By following the principle of ISO 27000 and ISO 31000, we can proactively identify and manage risks, ensuring both resilience and success. Remember, risk management is a journey, not a destination. Now that wraps up the presentation. I hope this session gave you a valuable insight into risk assessment. Now I would love to hear your questions or thoughts in comments box.